Welcome back, radiant tribe of Fazza devotees, to the Sheikh Hamdan fans official channel, your front row seat to every whispered intrigue, galloping triumph, and silken stanza drifting from Dubai's royal corridors. Fasten your seatbelts of curiosity, for tonight we venture beyond the burnished gates into a tale so startling it nearly eclipsed the Burj Khalifa's crown of light, the day a single Instagram poem cracked open the prince's carefully guarded heart. Few within the palace saw it coming. One moment, Sheikh Hamdan's feed sparkled with tranquil desert vistas and falcons in flawless flight. The next, a midnight blue slide appeared bearing verse as raw as an uncut diamond. Beneath a signature falcon emoji, he confessed that the confidant he'd trusted above all, Shama al-Falsi, the woman rumored to hold his hand during moonlit endurance rides, had betrayed him with the stealth of a desert fox, leaking the chronicle of his longest hidden love. Lines glowed with pain. I fed you my silence and you served it to the crowd. You lifted my heartbeat only to auction it aloud. Comment sections ignited, heart emojis elbowed by thunderstruck face icons, while hashtags #Fazza heartbreak and #Shama leaked began coiling around trending lists. Who is this Shama al-Falsi? Behind her lissom smile lies a lineage entwined with Dubai's merchant elite, pearls, perfumes, and perfumed whispers. She was the lithe shadow beside Hamdan at endurance races, the silent muse in the background of blurred palace photos. Yet beneath the velvet veneer, rumors now allege she funneled private voice notes and annotated diary pages to a tabloid hungry for royal scandal, all for a glittering contract said to eclipse the desert sunrise in zeros. And the secret itself? A forbidden chronicle predating Shama, involving a woman of incandescent intellect. Hadia Zen, a poet surgeon whose soul, Hamdan wrote, sings in 2 languages and still finds new alphabets to heal me. Their love, nurtured in humanitarian missions and sealed by verses exchanged beneath field hospital tents, was a story written in quiet ink, never meant for palace spotlights. Shama's leak hit like a sandstorm against stained glass windows. Private letters surfaced, Hadia's calligraphy swirling around anti-war lullabies, Hamdan's replies braided with promises of voyages unchaperoned by protocol. Photos followed, 2 silhouettes on a Zanzibar balcony, a pair of link gloves atop a medical crate in Mosul, a half-finished poem tucked under a stethoscope. Each artifact felt like another petal stripped from the prince's most sacred rose. Inside Zabil's marble labyrinth, chandeliers rattled in metaphorical thunder. Advisors convened emergency majlis sessions while PR teams drafted bulletins thinner than palm leaves. Would the crown prince acknowledge the breach or cloak it in courtly denial? The answer arrived before dawn in an Insta story. A single falcon feather adrift on black, captioned, "Some cages are invisible until the bird sings." Fans cleaved into camps. Purists grieved over the breach of privacy, rallying oaths of fealty with digital falcon emojis. Gossip connoisseurs devoured every leaked vowel, dissecting love letters like archaeologists unearthing desert kingdoms. Meanwhile, Hadia Zen vanished from social media, accounts gone dark. Amid the clamor, Hamdan retreated to the desert and called his confessional chapel. Witnesses swear they saw him at dawn, alone on a ridge, chanting couplets into the wind while sand lifted his words skyward like glowing embers. He later posted a photo of that ridge, no caption, just a horizon where sun-bleached dunes meet an unrepentant sky, a visual ellipsis loaded with sorrow. In the royal courts, protocols mutated overnight. Phones were surrendered at chamber doors, trusted aides signed reinforced and a new phrase slipped into hush-hush conversations. The Shama precedent. Some whisper the Dubai Poetry Slam, Hamdan's cherished brainchild, may now include a privacy clause as stringent as any diplomatic treaty. Yet amid the wreckage beats an untamed heart. Sources say a fresh poem already germinates in his leather-bound journal, addressed not to Shama's betrayal but to Hadia's unwavering silence. If silence were a kingdom, I'd abdicate to kneel at its gate, for there your echo keeps my pulse alive. Those who know him best foresee a phoenix rather than a casualty rising from these ashes. Stay tuned, devoted watchers of verse and valor. Whether the next revelation arrives as thunder, you'll hear it first beneath our banner. Until then, guard your own secrets well, for even the most trusted palm can hide a blade, and even a prince finds no armor against a lover's sharpened tongue. The quiet elegance of Sheikha Thani had always been her armor, composed, regal, untouched by the storms of gossip that so often swirl around the royal family. But lately, that polished calm has shown delicate cracks. The moment she heard whispers of Sheikh Hamdan's emotional entanglement with Hadia Zen, a woman outside the inner circle and far from the royal expectations, her poise faltered. Those close to her say the color drained from her face, not from rage, but from something far more unsettling. Heartbreak laced with For years, Sheikha Thani had lived beneath the golden illusion of a sacred bond. She wasn't just a royal by blood, she was expected to be the constant beside Hamdan's rise. Her name often echoed beside his in hushed discussions of succession, public responsibilities, and even poetic symbolism. Yet, discovering that the man she shared vows and duty with had given his soul, quietly, painfully, and completely, to another woman shattered more than just a romantic expectation. It fractured the foundation on which she'd built her identity. Palace aides noticed the change almost immediately. The usually vibrant Sheikha became distant, arriving late to majlis meetings, refusing her usual morning coffee rituals, and canceling appearances that once filled her days with structured dignity. In her private wing, the lights burned later than usual, and muffled sobs, once unthinkable in royal chambers, were now a haunting part of the night's silence. Those once welcomed in her presence now tiptoe carefully, unsure how to comfort a woman who has lost her emotional compass. But beneath the sorrow was something brewing, an awakening. Sheikha Thani was never meant to be a passive ornament beside a powerful man. The betrayal lit a fire within her. She began to question not only the fidelity of her marriage, but the roles imposed upon her by legacy, lineage, and title. In confidential conversations with her closest advisors, she expressed a desire to be more than a symbol, a longing to make her voice heard, her narrative told, her pain validated. Though she never publicly commented on the affair, her eyes began to speak more than any royal statement could. At official events, her glances toward Sheikh Hamdan were no longer filled with quiet admiration, but something cooler, an expression that said, "You broke something sacred, and I am no longer pretending it never happened." And perhaps the most stunning transformation of all? Her silence, once considered graceful, now roared with quiet rebellion. The name Hadia Zen became a ghost in the palace, never spoken aloud, yet constantly felt. The more Sheikha Thani heard of Hadia's brilliance, compassion, and the verses she inspired in Hamdan's pen, the more it stung. This wasn't a fling or reckless detour. It was a soulful affair that eclipsed protocol, and in that truth, Thani saw not just a betrayal of her heart, but of everything the royal structure demanded she protect. She wasn't just grieving her husband's love, she was grieving her role in a system that had, for so long, silenced her own desires. There are rumors now, soft but persistent, that Sheikha Thani is considering a new path. A diplomatic appointment abroad, a return to her philanthropic roots, or even a bold break from tradition altogether. Whatever direction she chooses, one thing is certain. The woman who once walked 2 steps behind Sheikh Hamdan may soon be walking forward, alone, unapologetic, and with purpose. And for Sheikh Hamdan, the consequences of love have never been clearer. While his poetry with Hadia Zen may live on in private journals and digital whispers, the fallout with Sheikha Thani is no longer poetic, it is painfully real. The palace may still stand, but something unspoken between them has collapsed, and no crown can restore what was lost when truth spilled into the corridors where love was meant to be sacred. In the days that followed, Sheikha Thani's presence became a quiet storm within the palace walls. She no longer waited for explanations, nor did she seek apologies. Instead, she moved through Zabeel like a woman reborn, not out of vengeance, but from the raw clarity of betrayal. Her traditional robes now carried sharper tailoring, her words more pointed than ever before. During a recent royal charity banquet, she stood before an audience of dignitaries and subtly referenced the power of truth over tradition, and though no names were mentioned, everyone in the room felt the weight behind her voice. The applause that followed wasn't just for her message, it was for her courage. Behind closed doors, Sheikh Hamdan has reportedly tried to reach out. Several notes were sent, handwritten, sealed in royal wax, each returned unopened. What was once a bond built on unspoken understanding now feels like a wound too deep for poetry to heal. The silence between them is no longer dignified, it is decisive. And for a man who has always relied on verse to mend what reality cannot, even his most heartfelt words now fall like stones against a wall she refuses to lower. Hadia Zen, meanwhile, has remained absent from the public eye. Whether out of respect for the storm she never meant to ignite or the burden of being named in royal heartbreak, she has vanished from the narrative, at least publicly. But Sheikh Thani knows this love story isn't just about names or titles. It's about the painful truth that even palaces, no matter how majestic, cannot contain the uncontrollable force of the human heart. And perhaps even more crushing, the realization that while she upheld tradition with every breath, someone else lived the emotion she was never allowed to express. Now, Dubai watches closely, not to gossip, but to understand how a woman raised in the echoes of royalty finds herself again after the silence is broken. Sheikh Thani may not have written a poem in response, but her actions have become their own verses. No longer confined to the margins of her husband's story, she is stepping boldly into her own chapter, one shaped by grace, pain, and the kind of power that no crown can give, and no scandal can ever take.